Plans to reconfigure Atlantic Avenue at the Virginia Beach oceanfront are getting some pushback. There's a proposal to turn the road into a cul-de-sac near the Cavalier Hotel. Aaron LeBeau is live with more details on the proposal and why some people are against it.
Yeah, David, a few weeks back, Virginia Beach Deputy City Manager told me that they were actually in the process of waiting to hear back from the state about whether or not this grant they requested was received. Well, now there's some council members that do not want this plan to even move forward. Today, residents we spoke to are split.
I'm 100% in favor of closing Atlantic Avenue and making it a cul-de-sac.
Traffic is bad enough during in season as it is. And what they're going to do is just make it worse.
Regarding turning Atlantic Avenue near 40th Street in Virginia Beach into a cul-de-sac and installing new traffic lights and patterns. The developer Cavalier Associates requested the city pay nearly $2.5 million to do this in order to accommodate new development in the area. Deputy City Manager Tom Leahy told me that's why the city applied for a state grant.
The decision on the grant is up to the state, both in the determination and the timing.
But some council members say this deal should not be done. Council members John Moss and Jessica Abbott are presenting another resolution requesting to rescind this grant request. Abbott wrote on Facebook, wasting precious taxpayer-funded resources on creating a cul-de-sac for the benefit of a private development is poor policy. And council is expected to discuss this new resolution tomorrow. The city manager tells me that if it passes, then they will no longer move forward with requesting this state funding. Reporting live in Virginia Beach, I'm Aaron LeBeau, 13 News Now.